So word on the street is that Lumix gave me a bunch of money to let you guys know here on my YouTube channel that I had switched to Lumix because I'm a shill, tube doucher, YouTube douchebag, unethical piece of trash. And yeah, we'll just stick with that narrative then. So recently I was paid a shit ton of money from Lumix to switch over to Lumix because there's no possible way on earth that Lumix could ever be nearly as good or, God forbid, better than Sony God mode of cameras, because, you know, Sony absolutely has no flaws. They just recently released the $5,100 worth of perfection 14-year-old body with some new internals, no IBIS, plastic, and the incredible piece of technological advancement, the massive penis-like viewfinder on the FX2, which is the same exact camera as a Sony a7 IV with a slight ISO adjustment on the second base ISO. So yeah, there's no possible way that I would ever dare switch from Sony to Lumix, because Lumix S1 Mark II is absolute trash, especially OpenGate, because OpenGate is only usable for things like anamorphic, which is what I'm going to be discussing today. I'm going to talk about this Sirui Saturn T2.9 75mm anamorphic lens with a 1.6 times squeeze. And let's be real here. None of these anamorphics are perfect in any way. Like when you buy an anamorphic lens, you're buying it knowing that they're going to be jacked up. You're talking about distortion. You're talking about weird shape bokeh. You're talking about lens flares that some may like, some may not like. So the whole point of anamorphic lenses is for the character that they produce. And of course, there's a bunch of gatekeeping pieces of trash in the filmmaking space where anamorphic needs to look a certain way. Anamorphic needs to be this. This is not traditional anamorphic. This is not. Who made up those rules? That's what I'm asking. Who made up what makes a lens good looking or not? Who made up the rules that anamorphics can only be this way, can only have this type of squeeze, can only have this type of bokeh? At the end of the day, if you're using it as a tool and it's getting you the look that you want for this particular piece of work that you are doing, it doesn't freaking matter what the damn bokeh looks like or what the flare looks like. You know, does it help you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish with whatever D-bag documentary or whatever you're trying to do? And in my case, trying to film a YouTube D-bag trash video with an anamorphic lens, manual focus. So I don't know if I'm in focus or not. I sure hope so. You know, I think I said it correctly, but we'll see about that. So it's like right about there, I guess, is where I should try to be to maintain not looking like in-focused Sony FX3 footage, which is kind of soft and blurry to begin with. If I look like I'm filming on the Sony FX3 because of the softness of the footage, that is not the case. I am filming with the Lumix S1 Mark II. And if it's soft and looks like FX3 is because I am out of focus. So just letting you know ahead of time in case you're wondering. So, you know, this lens has been out for a while. I used it sometime last year in May with the DJI Focus Pro to film a couple of weddings. I used the 35, 50, and the 75 on Sony E-mount using DJI Focus Pro to help me focus, and I thought it turned out great. You know, I thought everything worked fine. Also, I want to mention that Sirui did send this lens to me for review. However, I do already own this entire set on E-mount, and I have used it extensively. This is more geared towards L-mount, but a lot of things I said about the E-mount version still pertain to this lens. The lens is sharp. The only problem is with the 1.6 times squeeze, when I'm trying to get it to fill in more of the screen, obviously because of 1.6 times squeeze on a 16:9 sensor, I'm not going to get much footage, so I have to crop all the way in, and then when I crop all the way in, obviously I'm going to be losing resolution. So my actual resolution is no longer like a 4K resolution. It's probably closer to, I don't know, maybe 3K or something, maybe even less than that. But luckily the lens overall is sharp, so then the footage doesn't look too bad. So when Lumix decided to pay me to switch to the Lumix S1 Mark II, I got OpenGate. And OpenGate obviously gives me more top and bottom resolution. And with that comes more footage for my anamorphic lenses. So basically, I don't have to zoom in as much to get the footage I want. On top of that, because I get to film in 6K or 5.1 OpenGate, even if I did have to crop in, even if I wanted to crop in to fill in more of a 16:9 size frame, I can do that and still have 4K resolution. So, besides from footage and all that stuff, the real true advantage of the Saturn series is the size. So just to compare, this is a Blazar Mantis 75mm at only this is obviously is a T1.9, but it is also only 1.33 times squeeze, which is great. It has good image quality, and it doesn't have a crazy squeeze. But if you want more of an anamorphic squeeze, you'd want something like the Sirui Saturn. And with the Sirui Saturn, it's a much smaller lens. It's a much lighter lens, which makes it a lot easier to run and gun. Also, it comes with a native Allen mount, so this just goes right on to your Lumix camera versus having to adapt. And this is without the PL to L mount adapter, which makes it a little bit more manageable in size. But once you put the PL mount on it, it obviously becomes a lot bigger. So this lens's true advantage is just its portability and its size. You could comfortably take this on traveling. You could comfortably take this to film whatever without the bulkiness of other anamorphic lenses on the market. On top of that, on L mount, not only do you have OpenGate to actually take advantage of the entire sensor, but also you have anamorphic IBIS. With the S1 Mark II, you already have really good rolling shutter performance. However, anamorphic lenses usually accentuates rolling shutter. So what makes rolling shutter worse a lot of times is when you're doing handheld. So when you're doing handheld footage and your hands are shaky, you're walking and stuff like that, those sudden movements accentuates the jello, the rolling shutter. And thankfully, Lumix has anamorphic IBIS. So the way IBIS works on standard spherical lenses is completely different than when it's anamorphic, because obviously it has to account for like the stretching. So on Lumix cameras, there's an option for anamorphic IBIS, and using anamorphic IBIS enables you to have better, stable handheld footage, run and gun footage with anamorphic lenses. And of course, what better lens for run and gun than this small, light, and compact Sirui Saturn 75mm T2.9. And some of you may say, well, T2.9, I'd rather have like T1.9 or something like that. To be honest, at 75mm T2.9, it has plenty of D-bag bokeh depth of field to your desire. So I have no complaints with that. Now, why would you want to even try to film with anamorphic and stuff like that? Let's be real here, guys. These days, everyone has a freaking 24-70. Everyone has the freaking, next 1.8, 1.4 spherical prime lens. Everybody producing content online kind of has the same looking footage. You have a standard shot, blurry background. It is what it is, right? Color grade the way you want, whatever. Anamorphic lenses just gives a different look, a distinct look. And with the plethora of different anamorphic lenses to choose from, yeah, this thing has like barrel distortion or whatever, but look, it's a different look. It's different than the perfection that you're always seeing in everyone's standard freaking 24-70 zoom lens. Like I mentioned this before, I have this Sony freaking $3,000 28-70 f2. Great versatile lens, great running gun, decent zoom range, f2 all the way through, autofocus and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, the image looks boring to me. Like everything is just so dull and perfect. There's nothing interesting about how it renders the image to me. And that's why, you know, something like, even though this is a 24 to 45 Sigma available on E mount and L mount, I like the way this one looks because it just seems to have a little bit more character. This lens right now, Sirui Anamorphic, is available. It's been out for a while. Neutral, it has neutral flares, blue flares, different choices for L mount, E mount, and I also wanted to say some other mounts as well. I'm sure you could adapt them also, but I have a link in my description where you get 10% off if you're interested. I mean, when these first came out, they're a lot more expensive, but now they're actually very affordable as well. So if you want an affordable set of nice, lightweight Sirui Saturn T2.9 lenses available, and they're actually very inexpensive. So that is all I have to say about that. So hey, if you found this video interesting, insightful, or entertaining, helped you make a purchase decision, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, lighten up.
Hey man, that available for sale?
Yeah, it's available for $500.
Oh my god, that price is trash. How about $200?
No thanks, bro.
No man, I give you $300 cash.
No, I just recently posted it up, so I'm in no rush to sell. Price is pretty firm.
I find much cheaper online on eBay.
Where is it for sale for that price?
Let me show you. Only $400.
First of all, the condition of that item is not the same as mine. It is missing a bunch of stuff, and according to the seller, it is actually broken.
How about you ship to me $450?
All right, fine. I guess I could do $450 ship.